go. Welcome to it. Cummings, what am I doing here? Well, I am going to take you through a very interesting panel discussion, but I just want to double check before we do that. Daniel, is everything sorted? Can we rock and roll?
All right. So sorry. Yeah, I just wanna. Yes, Kino, can you hear me? In a few minutes, there's a bit of an echo for some reason. There we go. So we're gonna have a keynote speech. Then we're gonna have one of the ecosystem builders in our network present for 5 minutes as well. Then after that, it's going to be the panel discussion. So we're going to introduce you in let's say 10 minutes. Then that's where the panel discussion is going to start. But for now, I wanted to just, since I have everybody on the call now, quickly welcome everybody and say a nice thank you for making the time and joining us, but also kind of do a short presentation about Maloba Consulting. What is it that we do? How can you participate? And after that, it's going to be very brief. I'm going to hand over the mic to Henry Zitzman, who's going to be our keynote speaker of the day. And then from there, we're going to hear from Genosis, an ecosystem builder. They have an amazing API platform, marketplace that they'll tell you about. And then after that, we're going to have the panel discussion. So without any further ado, I'm going to share my screen and then we're going to get started. If anybody wants to tell us where they're from, please leave your handles, your social media handles in the chat, your LinkedIn, your Instagram. We want to connect with you. Tell us where you're from, what you do. We want to hear from you. Our team will be in touch with you. Please let me know if you can see my screen. Just a thumbs up would suffice. I see thumbs up. Thank you very much, guys. Ladies and gentlemen, we are Maloba Consulting. What I love about what I see in the room this afternoon is just sheer energy and passion for a common goal, which is to make the continent a better place, the world a better place through innovation. And this is some of the things that what we believe in as well at Maloba Consulting. Our vision is really clear, is to lift nations, specifically African nations, out of poverty through innovation. So how we do that? We do that through a series of services that we'll tell you about. But just to paint the picture for you, this is a data that was taken from Africa, the Big Deal. It paints the picture in terms of the investment landscape in Africa for the past few years. If you look since 2019, all the way to now in 2024, what you see is it's an interesting trajectory of how investment has been taking place on the continent. We can see a clear drop from 2023 to 2024. In fact, statistics shows that there's a 46% decline in VC funding since last year up until now. And studies show further that only 0.05% of startups are able to leverage funding from VC. So we see there's a serious gap. We know that this is also in the winter season. They will tell you a bit about that in the panel discussion. But there's a gap, and what we've seen is that one of the main reasons for that is there's a lack of investment readiness when it comes to startups approaching these investors, and that's where we come in. We come in with this amazing accelerator program. It's an investment readiness accelerator program. We say, hey, you are a tech startup, you are early stage, you are pre-seed, you are seed stage, you're ready to make the big jump and raise funds. We can help you get investor ready, put you in a room with investors. We will do the triage on behalf of investors and do the matchmaking in a nutshell. So if you want to sign up for our upcoming cohorts, you can use the link in the chat right now. We also have a community platform. This is a portal where we bring everybody together. All the ecosystem enablers, all the ecosystem players, the investors, the founders. We do networking, we do knowledge sharing, we offer mentorship. There are some people who have experience and are willing to give back and maybe mentor somebody else. And we have all of that. And you're welcome to join our community and learn more about that. And we have a bunch of ecosystem services, bringing external players through soft landing programs onto the continent, just so we can empower our entrepreneurs and founders even more. Just to understand a bit more about our business model, basically it's threefold. We have the accelerator program, we have partnership with key players, and we also offer equity-based advisory and monthly subscription into our services. Now, our impact has been great. We focus on what you call technology for good innovation. So these are your edtech, your fintech, your health tech, and we've had some success stories along the line so far. A lot of good feedback. And I want to give a special shout out to everybody who played a major role into the impact that we've had so far. Our speakers, our mentors, from their various backgrounds, anywhere from investors to experts, seasoned entrepreneurs that wanted to give back. We want to say thank you to you. This would have not been possible without you. What is next? What if you're wondering, okay, cool, where do we go from here? We've opened applications for our next cohort, the investment readiness program that's going to take place in the third quarter. We invite all of you who are interested to apply. Again, the link should be in the chat somewhere there, or just chat to us and we'll tell you more about that. I've spoken about the community portal. We all know, every single entrepreneur in the room right now can relate that entrepreneurship is a lonely road. We need community. You can't do this alone. I can't change the continent alone. That's why we are all here to discuss how can we come together, how can we support one another to change the world and to change Africa and to make a bigger impact, a dent in the universe. So we offer networking opportunities, we offer collaboration, we offer knowledge sharing. If you want to know more about that, you're welcome to visit our website. We would love to partner with you. Join us today, join us into this circle of partnership, and let's work together to have an even bigger impact on our beautiful African continent. One last word from me. We have entered the Global Startup Award and we are progressing into the regional finalists, and we need your support. Please vote for us so we may be able to compete at the global level. So thank you very much. I will now hand over the mic to our keynote speaker. This is a legend himself, and Henry has been into this space for a long time, and he has been making a big impact into the ecosystem for a long time. And really, everybody who's in this space know Henry. So Henry, we want to give a great shout out to you and offer you the platform just for you to kind of give us words, the keynotes, the key word for the day. So Henry, over to you. And thank you again for coming.
Great, thanks. I've shared the screen. Just let me know, thumbs up if you can see it. Great stuff. So firstly, thanks everybody for being here. I always say it's day one for us, for startups. When it's day two, you're no longer thinking like a startup, looking at your customer and differentiating. I'm from AWS Startups. We've been helping startups build, scale across global as well as regional for more than 16 years. Very cool names like Luno, #6 World Cryptocurrency Exchange. You might know Ozo. In Cape Town, you might know Pineapple Insurance, Naked Insurance. These companies are building on AWS, right? And they're leveraging the programs in the right way. And what I really just wanted to distill is that there's many programs. Do feel free to reach out to understand how to leverage the programs in the right way, and so on. So I'm based in Cape Town. Down at the bottom there's 54 countries, 2,000 languages. We've got a fantastic opportunity in Africa. I just want to say it's the right time to build startups. I'll go into the reasoning for that. Do feel free to connect anytime. As you know, probably you don't know, but the cloud was invented in Cape Town in 2006, and look where it's taken us over the many years, right? That's quite impressive to think that this innovation is originating out of South Africa, reaching the world. We have a thing called the startup journey, which I've created because we're all in different stages. If you're in the early stage, you're focusing on your customers, you should definitely use something like an AWS Activate that's available through accelerators and investors in startups. Activate is a credit program. It runs up to $100,000. Underneath Activate, there's additional benefits. Like, for example, you will definitely need zero accounting. There's discounts there. There's, for example, also HubSpot. So if you do want to move into the CRM world, start doing things less with spreadsheets and more with a CRM approach, that's great. there's definitely this opportunity. The important thing is we treat you like an enterprise. So there's technical support for up to 2 years, for up to $10,000 within AWS Activate. And I think that's really critical, especially when you're differentiating your offering in the beginning for your customer. Before you move on to what I call the growth scale, which is really when you've got your first $1 million, and I really hope we can get there. That's where you want to start looking at things like your technical due diligence. We do that with AWS partners. It's a really great document, looks after security. It shows you where's your data. It looks after your cost, your efficiency, your carbon status. In other words, are you efficient on that context? And then it balances all of that against cost. Now, this is what you can attach to both an enterprise or call it mid-market engagement, because the companies that will buy your services will definitely want to know all of that posture. And when I was in 2015, I didn't have that. It took me forever to go and explain what I'm building. So I just want to make sure that kind of barrier is removed from all companies building across Africa. And you've noticed that I've now mentioned companies. I'm not talking about startups, because the only time you're a startup is when you're speaking to an investor. Otherwise, you're a company and you're building a fundamental business, and the KPIs and the objectives needs to be very clear. Talking about this reduction in funding, number one, it's a global trend. It has recovered now in 2024, with about 8% up in the Europe, UK market. Africa lags a bit, but over the long run, look at this whole beautiful picture for Africa. You are definitely in the right business if you're building a tech startup. We have accelerated funding across the whole last 10 years to unbelievable extent. I want to just go back here. Measuring year on year is great. Shows you is down, but we're not as down as LATAM with 39% down. What you see is we are the fastest growing. When I say we, 54 countries, founders in cities are the fastest growing. 4.3 times is the growth rate over the last 3 years. This is impressive numbers. 76% up in Africa. This is huge. So you definitely are in the right continent. That's a good start. Secondly, if you want to go into this reduction, the good news is if you're going into the reality of that, it is literally recovering. Last month, we've seen an increase, almost a double up in the number of funding rounds coming out in Africa. So this lag is now pulling up going forward. So I'm very bullish on the reality for Africa. Now, where is all the funding happening, right? So there's essentially 3 what I call communities. It's Egypt, it's Kenya, South Africa, Nigeria. 90% of all funding comes through those markets, right? So if you're in South Africa, you're in great shape. We were up year on year. The only country that's up year on year by more than 8% just from last year to this year. So that is great news. Keep in mind that the investors in the local context is where you want to focus. If you look at, for example, East Africa, it's a really fast-moving market. We're on the youngest continent in the world, so we have a lot of opportunities going forward. If you want to learn more about the programs, literally try and scan that link tree over there. It's my personal link tree because it talks about the journey. You'll find my WhatsApp, you'll find my email. I'm always available, and definitely keep an eye out for any new projects and programs coming up. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Henry. That was beautiful breakdown and just summary of just the state of investment in Africa and also just the role of AWS. So thank you for that. Moving along, I'm going to invite our sort of ecosystem enablers when it comes to the tech space, Genosis of MTN. So I'm going to invite Pearl Turing. Please turn on your mic and just to give us a little kind of description of what it is that they do to support entrepreneurs, especially in the tech space. Pearl, thank you for joining us. Over to you.
Thank you very much for the opportunity to present to your environments and your ecosystem. And everybody, thank you to Henry for those inspiring and really positive words. I always like to hear when it's going to rain and there's going to be good money coming in and we're growing. So always some good stuff happening over there. Right, so what I'm going to do is let me just switch over to bit of a presentation just so that, here we go. Let me know if I'm not sure what you're going to see.
Currently not seeing anything, but there we go. Yeah.
All right.
Yes.
Okay. And well done, Daniel, on the success of your program. This is super. All right. So have you thought about a marketplace that's not just about APIs, but about connecting people and businesses in Africa seamlessly? That's us, and that's Genosis. We've got a curated selection of APIs solving real-world problems, from mobile identity fraud to customer experience, plus AI-powered magic for your workflows. And guess what? We're not just here for business. We're here to create a space for developers and place for enterprises and startups and API publishers to come together and to benefit from this environment. We are building an ecosystem that places value on collaboration and on innovation. So I'm inviting all of you to build a connected Africa where innovative minds have the resources they need to succeed. We are proud to announce our partnership with Maloba Consulting as we invite you to join our ecosystem to digitize, optimize, and standardize for a smoother integration of smart technology, and to use our solutions and services to mobilize and amplify yours, to innovate and to enable new products and services, and to distribute your products across the continent. Daniel, I'm not sure if this will play, but let me know if...
Okay, it's playing, but we can't hear any sound. I'm not sure if there's meant to be sound.
Yes, there is. Right, because that's just a quickie since, you know, Danny, you only give me 5 minutes. So
That's right.
Okay, let me, I'm just going to unshare this quickly, if you don't mind. You said, if anybody can come up with a keynote, if you can come up with something better than this, we're all buying into it, okay?
Absolutely.
Well, let me figure out how to unshare. I don't even know how to unshare. So,
it should be at the top of your screen somewhere. Stop
there we
sharing.
go. Right. There we go. All right. So I'm going to be a bit clever about this, and I'm just going to okay, and I think if I'm not mistaken, this one will allow sound. Is that it? Oh, quite cool. Right, let's see if we have any more joy now.
Digital products and services are changing the world, and the ability to create them is a sought-after skill set. For those that want to build better, faster, and cheaper, Genosis is a marketplace of APIs that opens access to transformative solutions and potential revenue streams, enabling you to unlock growth and innovation. Our marketplace connects businesses to powerful APIs that can be quickly integrated to give products enhanced capabilities, as well as an arsenal of low and no-code tools that help non-developers build and deploy digital solutions more easily than ever before. Genosis also allows businesses and developers to monetize their own code, making it available for use across our Pan-African footprint. Expand your business with better, cheaper, and faster access to digital tools with Genosis, your Accelerator platform.
So we'd like to invite you all to either amplify your products or use our products to focus on your unique propositions, and rather than reinventing the wheel, build better, build faster, and innovate quicker. Thank you, Daniel, and good luck to all the people who are demoing today and to the panel discussion.
Thank you, Pil. That's amazing. All right. Now, without any further ado, moving along to an exciting moments into this event, one of the highlights of the event, the panel discussion, which I think attracted many of you on the call this afternoon. The legend leading this panel needs no introduction at all. If you're in this space, you know Kino Kamis is a man who needs no introduction. However, I'll let him just tell us a little bit about himself. And then, Kino, over to you, really. The platform is yours.
Well, Daniel, first and foremost, thank you for building what you have, by the way, and bringing everybody together the way you have. I hate talking about myself, but just a little bit. Spent 28 years on radio, had COVID in 2020, then decided I better leave because I'm sick and tired of Skopskit and Dorner and negative stories about the country and about the continent. And that led me on a journey to co-founding Innovation City. What is Innovation City? Very quickly, we a business outcomes hub. What does that mean? Well, we connect people from multinationals, high growth startups, scale ups, and funders. And that's really the only way we believe we can get people, even during things like COVID, to rush towards a place when your business outcomes stand a better chance because you're collaborating, right? So that's what we've done. Who do we have in the building? We've got big multinationals. The market cap of the multinational partners that we have is close to 400 billion rand. That's just the market capitalization. We have VCs in our space, including Launch Africa VC. I had to just point that out. The amount of funding available in our space in the ecosystem is just over 5 billion rand. And then we've got amazing high growth startups and scale ups working their magic. So it's a real privilege to be part of that. But we're here today to talk about not me and what I've been doing. But thanks for that opportunity. So we'll talk about the role of early stage investors in African tech startups. So without any further ado, I'm going to introduce you. I'm not going to introduce you to the panel. I'll name the panelist and you will tell us about yourself. So tell us a little bit about obviously who you represent and just also a little bit about yourself and why you do what you do. And then we'll get into the nitty gritty of things. So if you're a VC, we're going to talk about what's your investment thesis? Why are you focusing on that? We'll talk about success stories. If you're a business, we'll talk about your journey to success and also what you've learned about funding. So without any, I said that before, didn't I? Further ado, I'm not going to say it again. So let's start with Lina Kassem, of course, an investment manager at Launch Africa Ventures. They recently had a brand new logo. I think it's probably one of the best logos that I've seen, just as an aside. So Lina, just an introduction to yourself and Launch Africa VC.
Thank you so much for that wonderful introduction. I don't know if I'll be able to to do a good job following up on that. So hello, everyone. Nice to meet you all. My name is Lina Kassem. I'm an investment manager at Launch Africa Venture. We are a Pan-African VC fund. We are investing in seed and pre-series A tech-enabled startups. And we are sector agnostic. As far as my background, I have a little over 15 years of experience, and I navigated through a few industry, insurance, international development, consulting, and venture capital, of course. So I look forward to this panel. Thank you for having me.
So just a little bit more on the investment thesis of Launch Africa VC. I know when your co-founder, Zach, always, he does these very long introductions. We love him. But he always says that we'll only invest in businesses that can become bigger than a bank.
Yes.
So let's talk about that for a second.
Yeah, so we believe that, we have entrepreneurs, we have solutions that are not just specific to Africa. We know that they can be brought up globally, right? There's a lot of solutions that have come from either the Western world or Asia that have been applied across the globe. So we know we have the same talent, the same abilities on the continent. So that's what we're looking for. We're looking for those solutions that can be applied in not just the country or the region that you are in on the continent, but globally. So yes, absolutely.
Awesome. And you're also the leading seed to pre-series A VC on the continent with 136
Well,
investments.
now we are at 148 investment. Yes, so we are definitely the most active VC on the continent.
Awesome.
Part of what we do is create an ecosystem within our portfolio, right? So as you're looking to grow in a different country or you have some needs in a different sector, you can find within our portfolio, ways to have synergies, collaboration for your expansion and to resolve some other challenges that comes with growth.
Okay, great. Thank you so much for that, Lena. And Daniel, I'm going to ask you because of my ADHD, I don't even know how long I'm into this now. So just wave your hand if I'm getting close to 20 minutes. Okay.
Got it. All right.
We're gonna rock and roll. So Egla, great to see you again, Egla and Tumba. Let's talk a bit about an introduction to you, because I think it's more than just the brand; it's the people behind the brand driving the investments, wanting to drive change. Obviously, lots of experience with Newtown Partners. So just a little bit about you, what you're doing, investment theses, etc.
Yeah, good to see you again, Kino, and good to see a lot of you here. Hi to Lahanyo, hi everybody in this ecosystem. So Eglan Tumba, Congolese living in South Africa. I had my start in the SME world, did that for about 8 years, and then decided I needed to zoom out and through corporate banking, did financing of large corporates and multinationals along the supply chain. So supply chain financing, trade finance, foreign exchange lines. And then I decided I need to zoom in back again. So now I'm back to the zoomed in lens of the supply chain with Newtown Partners, focusing particularly on tech-enabled startups within the supply chain and providing them with financing. So a little bit on Newtown Partners. Newtown Partners is the fund manager of DP World's corporate venture capital. For those of you not familiar with DP World is one of the top port operating companies globally, with a specific focus on supply chain operations and port operations, as well as a little bit on healthcare. So based on that, it's a $50 million fund, as I said. We invest in early stage tech-enabled companies. So that's sort of late seed to pre-series B, that are using technology to innovate and disrupt the legacy industry that has been supply chain and logistics. We also have a healthcare focus, because DP World, which acquired Imperial Logistics, which is the South African kind of installment of the supply chain giant, has a large pharmaceuticals distribution footprint in East and West Africa. So alongside the supply chain and logistics angle, we also do a big healthcare push. We invest globally, but most of our healthcare portfolio is on the continent, and our supply chain portfolio is span out across the world. So
Awesome.
good to be here.
Thank you very much for that. And Lou has moved to Amsterdam. Why? Because of where the business has taken him, or just because he likes the beers there?
I guess, well, not the beers, it's definitely because of where the business has taken him. I think we've always been a global business. I mean, we have Vinny in the US, and we've always been able to work remotely and do that kind of approach. So his family wanted a little bit of a different lived experience for their little boy. So they're testing that out. But it also turns out that it's a great pool to fish in for a next fund. So let's see.
Absolutely. Always great to just hear from you. Moving on to Vianney Tati, of course, sharing your experience at Afritech Catalyst Growth Fund. But first of all, more about yourself, and then we can talk about the Afritech Catalytic, at least, Growth Fund. Did I say Catalyst? Of course I did. So we'll change it to Catalytic. So Vianney, over to you.
I just got a message from Vianney. Yeah, the job is not feeling well, unfortunately. So we're going to have to skip him. Yeah.
All right. So our thoughts go out to Vianney. May he recover speedily. But Ruben Riley. Now, Ruben Riley, of course, I think a lot of us know this by now, the founder and CEO of BioAge. Ruben, over to you. You're obviously not a VC, so just tell us a bit about you and the business.
No, thank you very much for that. So soon to be Dr. Ruben Riley. But yeah, 5 years ago, I had this brilliant idea while at university that I could revolutionize food security by starting a fertilizer company. Probably the most challenging decision, but fast track to now, we've been able to start our company, which is Biological Agricultural Era, or BioAge. And essentially what we were a liquid fertilizer company, and then we pivoted into an agri-biotech company that leverages on AI to track crop yields and to augment food production in a sustainable manner. So we're trying to protect the environment as well as aiding a farmer in his production journeys.
And what's your ultimate goal? I mean, if I had to, so we're sitting at a dinner table, and I'm going, this is really cool, soon to be Dr. Ruben. Just tell me a little bit about what your ultimate goal is with this business.
So I think for us, the vision for the company is to ensure that everyone in the globe has access to food, and food that is not just necessarily in bulk, but has nutritional profiles that one needs in their body. So I think for us, it's to make this technology available globally, from a small scale farmer to a commercial farmer, so that while we enter into the new generations, we still have food to keep our society going.
Beautiful business by the sounds of it. So, I mean, it's great to have a good idea, right? Everybody's got a great idea, but at some stage, the tire has to hit the tar and you've got to do something. I'm a firm believer in effectual thinking, which is, I mean, a lot of you might have heard of that, which has got to do with your network, speaking to them, understanding your own acceptable loss, but doing something and getting it off the ground. That's kind of the easy bit, but taking it further takes capital, right? So unless you've got really rich parents who can sort of dig into your trust fund that you don't want to wait for, the funding journey is very seldom an easy one. Tell us about yours, Ruben.
So ours has not been very easy. So we started BioAge essentially with a bursary that I received from university. But we knew that we were focusing on a market that had not yet been realized. And to obtain the funding that we needed was going to be very unlikely, or we would need to give away too much of equity to get to where we were. And so we took the approach of adopting a lean business model, where we try to keep our resources as limited as possible, but maximize how we use it. And thankfully, that model worked, where we were able to reach profitability without raising any capital. And it's now taken us to a point where when we are raising, it's now for global expansion and not just to prove concept. So that has worked successfully for us, but it differs amongst different businesses in different sectors.
And what's your take on VCs generally?
Look, it's brilliant for a startup that's looking to enter into the business and becoming into a mature sort of company. But it has to be a very structured approach. You've got to have proof of concept, and you've got to have a market that's willing to adopt your product before you take the funds. You need to be cognizant of that, before you take people's money and go and try to make it work.
Yeah. Obviously, listen, I'm a big fan of VCs. They've got a very important place on the continent. You guys have come under fire from certain quarters as well, saying that sometimes you can be like, bankers without ties, which means you maybe not as risk averse as a bank, but there's a reasonable amount of hesitation. And it's really difficult to get funding from all of you. So I thought I'd start with the easy questions first, right? So Lena, Egla, would you like to comment on that? Some people would say maybe it's just better to go and get, debt financing to get something off the ground. But then again, how long is a piece of string? What would you say to that? Any one of you can just.
I think it's such an important point. Lena, do you want to go ahead?
Sure. I mean, criticism is always welcome. It's the way we have to get better, right? At the end of the day, we also have to remember VC on our continent is pretty nascent, right? It's not a method that has been tried and where we've learned thousands of lessons like they've had here in the US. So there is definitely some, some awkward moment. That's how I will call them. But to your so two things. One, I'll speak for us at LAV. We get easy 100 application like a week, right? So that's part of the challenge. It's like, what is the right system to go through that many application, especially this early, right? So that's also the part of the risk. It's really early. We're talking pre-seed, seed, very small, still working within maybe a city. So how do you go through all those companies to choose the few ones? Of course, we're going to make some mistakes. That's a given. But there's the sheer amount of incoming and startups starting and really good ideas. That's part of the challenge. There's still not enough capital on the continent. The second piece is the instrument. When, as a startup, you're raising money, is raising with a VC equity the right instrument for what you need, right? That might actually be the right instrument for where you are instead of equity. So I think on the startup end, there's also a bit of internal look that has to be taken to figure out what are the different instruments and are we using the right instrument? So Egle, to you.
I'm going to pick up from what you said, Lena, because you made really good points. Or maybe should I start with where Ruben started, where he actually started his business with his scholarship and built out that proof of concept and then went out to seek capital. In the past couple of years before this VC winter, as it's been termed, started, there was a lot of push towards, if you just have a really good idea, go get funding, which it works in some instances. Of course, there are very, very early VCs that will fund just an idea and you'll go and build something. But I think as we are, as an industry in VC, starting to be more, I'm going to say frugal and just pay more attention to the kind of businesses that we're funding, it's becoming more important to have that initial proof of concept, to have some kind of capital at first, be it your own money, friends and family money, angel investor money, to just prove out that concept and show that there is actually a business for this idea before you go and start fundraising external money. Because whether VC or debt, it's still other people's money and you will still need to pay it back. So it's really important for founders, and I'm starting to see founders starting to think like this as well, because a lot of founders that I'm speaking to these days are saying, well, great stuff, but I'm not ready to absorb any kind of capital from outsiders yet. And I think that's a really important conversation that needs to be had. If possible, where you can get money, build out a little product, show early traction, and then start seeking money from other people.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I mean, a very good example, I spoke to the founder of Wamley, which is obviously an HR tech company, and they took some money from Knife Capital, etc. But they signed up so many big corporates that he said to me, listen, that investment money is still sitting in the bank. So I've got to figure out, what we do. We still have to get to spend it. So, I mean, bootstrapping it, and it's not always easy to get that product market fit where people go, oh, this is great. A lot of people struggle, fall, have to stand up 100 times before they get anywhere close to what could be seen as a good product market fit. But I'm listening to the two of you here. Do you think we need to do more work in the sort of pre-seed space? It's a discussion I've had with Daniel, right? So you've got hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of applications that come in. You've got to say yes to 2% of them. Do you think there's a gap in the pre-seed space for people to actually put some capital in there, understand your investment thesis, and start finding the right businesses that you can build, mentor, connect in order to create traction that you might be interested in?
100%. There is so much opportunity. If you just look at the numbers quantitatively, I think in the US, if I'm not speaking out of turn, there are about 5 million startups that are started annually. Whereas on the continent, if we have 500, I think 500 is the number, the average over the past sort of 5-7 years of startups being started on the continent. That is just not enough. So we need more startups being started on the continent. But then I say that, and then on the other side, if you look at just the numbers of SMEs, so small, medium enterprises on the continent, if you just look at sub-Saharan Africa, we have more than 44 million. So on one side, not enough startups. On the other side, we have so many small medium enterprises. So we really need a tool and a way to almost filter through these 44 million plus, and that's just in sub-Saharan Africa. These multi-million, SMEs, filter through them and find the ones that have a really interesting idea that just need the right kind of support, be it financial, strategic advice, or whatever, to maybe get them to cross over and then sort of fill up that startup creation pool. So we definitely need that kind of support. And on the continent, what's really needed are potentially angel investors and that risk capital at that pre-seed level to support. As I said, I'm cognizant before, I said, if you have some money, definitely get a proof of concept, but everybody doesn't have the kind of money to be able to back themselves even to begin with. So if you're able to find maybe just a mentor or somebody who believes in your idea, believes in you as a human, and is willing to put a little bit of money towards you getting that first initial traction, and you're able to get that, that's such an important person in your journey, because that person not only gives you money, if you pick them correctly, they also provide you with strategic guidance and advice. They open up their network for you, and they provide you with market access so that you can continue to grow your idea. So we need a lot of support at that pre-seed to feed the rest of the VC machine to the different levels that we need, the different series of capital that we need.
Yeah.
I think. Oh,
Yeah,
sorry.
I just wanted to say, Ruben, I'm gonna pull you in here as well, because sorry about that, Lena. The one point I want to raise as well, very quickly, which I'll pick up after you say what you wanted to say now, Lena, is that of accelerators. A lot of them are hit and miss. Some of them take money for the sake of taking money, and they do, let's be honest about it, they do pump and dump. We'll teach you how to do marketing. We'll teach you how to do this. You need to get a lawyer, and they all do the same rubbish. And what they don't do is give you any access to market at the end of the day to help you gain some type of traction, which to me, to be very honest with you, and I probably won't make many friends by saying this, is ridiculous and needs to stop. Sorry, I just needed to get that off my chest before my ADHD brain forgets it. What were you saying, Lena?
You stole my thunder. It's literally where I was going.
Sorry.
I am so mad. No,
I've got to make it up.
But to your point, and I was going to veer a little bit even towards like a region like Francophone Africa, right? We don't have enough good quality accelerators and incubators, right? If you want to drive capital in a certain area, you also have to prove yourself. So at this point, even when you're looking at accelerators and incubators, that's why so many of our startups still trying to get into Google for startups and, Y Combinator. Basically, the accelerators, the incubators from abroad, who they feel will do a better job of getting them into the market. In my sort of like ideal world for the pre-seed, you have good quality accelerators, incubators. You have more angel network investing. I used to work, for example, for the Dakar Network Angels. There's a lot of angel investor network, but they're very specific typically to their country, right? So you have that local investors through the angel investing that has to come in, but also trying to figure out more vehicles for the diaspora as well, right? They have, lack of a better word, a little bit more room to lose, so to speak. And there's the advantage of the currency in which they are that go a long way on the continent. So really that intersection of good quality accelerators and incubators, angel investing from local investors, and bringing in some of the diaspora money that would be very helpful at that pre-seed level.
And people who can open up doors, right? So
yes.
two discussions I had over the last 3-4 weeks. One was with both two senior MTN executives, both foreign. One is a CEO of one of the divisions who actively invests in businesses and is looking for businesses to put money into. The other one once, and this is funny, right? And I think it's really cute what he said. He said, listen, I've got about 10,000 euro, which I'm happy to invest in a business without looking for any direct ROI. I don't want a return on investment, but I want to be able to go onto LinkedIn and tell people that I'm an investor. And I want to be able to share the story of this business's growth. And if we can, but it is also a person who can open up doors, not just here, but in Europe and elsewhere. So I also think it's the quality of people that you have in the pre-seed space that could certainly add a lot of value. But Ruben, you've been sitting and listening to all of this, right? So as someone who started a business, you've done the hard yards. What's your take on the accelerator side of things and the pre-seed space?
So I think, talking from personal opinion, we've been very fortunate to have a very good accelerator and incubator. And you made mention of accelerator taking product to market, but I think another aspect that should be taken into account is, what are the market barriers? Is there any regulatory issues that need to be started first before you focus on taking a product to market? So I think it's not just looking at one aspect. I think it needs to be a holistic approach in taking that product to market, and also looking at the legalities and what resources need to be availed in that aspect. But yes, obviously with pre-seed, it's got to be a very strategic merging or other investment. You've got to have a partner that can open these doors for you, because it is quite difficult to go and do cold emails and cold calls. You're not necessarily going to get the traction that you want. And then, if you continue in that model, in 12 months, you realize you didn't really do much with the investment.
Yeah, and
I think.
Yeah, sorry. Go.
I just wanted to highlight one of the points that Ruben made with regards to an accelerator, also talking about market barriers. I think the job of an accelerator in a big part is to take a founder who operates in a bit of a cocoon and has seen a problem and wants to solve it, and then almost open your eyes up to every blind spot that you could possibly have. Right. And that ties into the regulatory thing. It's really about just accelerator asking you questions like, have you thought about the regulation that's involved with creating a fertilizer in South Africa? Maybe it's something that didn't occur to you immediately because you don't think about regulation as your first port of call, but like, that's one of the important jobs that an accelerator would bring to you.
Absolutely. And, an accelerator worth their salt would do that. And I think that was just the point I was trying to make originally. So if you've got any questions, by the way, you can post it on the chat. So if you've got any questions for our panel, we can certainly take some Q&A here as well. But I think it's an important discussion to have. I think a lot of people, the Notion 22 Impact Fund with their $200 million that they brought to the continent. I mean, Hans Otterling was saying we want to take the 200 million and turn it into 2 billion. Because we can go to North Zone, we can go to whoever in America that we've got relationships with. I mean, they invested $20 million in Smile ID, for example, right? Time Bank, I think, got over $60 million. So it's really about having the right people in the mix, and the networks and the collaboration is almost as important, if not more important, than the actual money on the table. What would you say to that?
100% agree.
At that level, yes.
Yeah, it's a relationship game from top to bottom. Be it as an investor, you need to have relationships with other investors that you could co-invest with. Be it as a founder, you need relationships with other founders who can give you insights on who are the ones actually giving money, who are the good VCs, who are not the good VCs. You just need relationships all over. So very, very important.
Absolutely. Right. So gotcha. So Lemohang, thank you very much. My business is still pre-seed, and I find it quite difficult to secure the necessary funding to even begin. I have I have letters of intent from a few future customers, but still haven't been able to break any ground yet. Tell us a little bit about your business as well, Lemogang, if you don't mind. It'll be interesting to actually get some context on that as well. Depends on the industry, it depends on what you're doing. And maybe if you're online, is Lemogang able to speak to us? I hope so. That would be really cool if you could just pop up and make your mic live and chat to us about the business. But while we're waiting for that, would anybody like to just, I mean, obviously we need more information, but difficult to secure the necessary funding.
I
So
mean,
don't want to try and answer,
I
because
mean,
what are you trying to raise funding for, right? So,
yeah,
yeah,
it is. It
yeah.
is. It is very challenging. And also the other piece is right now everything is cyclical. Right now we are in that cycle where, I mean, even for VC funds to get money for LPs, there's a bit of that. Show us what you've been able to do, right? It's not just the buck
Hello?
doesn't stop at the VC. Sorry, could we hear him?
Are you
Yeah.
there?
Oh, yes,
Yeah,
yes,
go
yes.
ahead.
My mic was off. Hello, sir.
Oh.
Go for it, sir. Go for it. We'd like to hear from you.
So yes, my internet went off there, but I realized that you had posed a question to myself because I wrote something in the chat.
Yes, indeed. We were just trying to get more context, right? What type of business do you have? Type of industry you're playing in? You were talking about, your pre-seed, and you said it's very difficult to secure the necessary
Difficult to secure funding,
Yeah.
yes, sir.
So just give us a little bit more history to that. Yeah.
Okay, so basically, the business is, I would say it operates under agro aviation because I want to mix aviation with like agriculture. What we've realized is that there's a problem with the irrigation industry here in Lesotho. So I wanted to pioneer. Basically, it's not something that is new around the world, but in Lesotho, it's very new. So whenever I talk to people that could potentially become an investor, they always have the fear that the customers are not yet sensitized. So I've organized a pitch deck that I can share with you guys, just to see if I can get some criticism on maybe if I'm not getting my points through clearly, or maybe it's just not a viable business.
So are you currently trying to establish whether your business idea is actually a viable idea to pursue, or are you trying to get funding to do a little bit of a pilot to test?
I'm trying to do a little bit of a pilot. I was hoping to secure some funding in a space of maybe say 5 months, because that's when like the industry is a bit busy here. So in Lesotho, as I said, the irrigation methods that are still being used are still very old. They're still like using microjet as the new thing. So to introduce drones to the operations becomes a bit difficult because the people are just not used to it. So I am still trying to see. We're trying to partner up with a few companies to see if we can host an expo, invite a few farmers. I've already began those conversations with a few farmers, but the financing bit is still a bit of a challenge for me.
Send that through, because we've spoken to a couple of people in the agri space. And as a matter of fact, I've done a bit of work with a drone company that's a hydrogen-powered drone at the moment that they're trying to get sorted, because that apparently is the thing, right? So
yes, sir.
I'm happy to connect you to people. I don't know the answers to all of this stuff, but we know people who might be able to help you. So if you can somehow just send Daniel the details, and I'll be happy, very happy to see if I can, push you in the right direction.
Okay, thank you very much. I would appreciate that. I'm gonna send the pitch deck into the chat right now.
Yeah, do that. That's good.
Yes, sir, I'm gonna send it there. Let me see. Send to everyone. Okay.
Thank you so
the
much
pitch.
for that.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for giving me the time.
Hearing from you. I was expecting this one, Henry. I knew you were gonna mention this, Henry. I thought Henry was too quiet. Says on accelerators, pick the right one. My two My 2 bits is that acceleration is useful for founders, but lean into virtual and focus on your customer traction. Some examples: Grindstone Excel, absolutely. Startup Bootcamp, absolutely. Founders Factory, Adobe Solution Space. They have exceptional track records. I think I was referring to the Bucky Brigade that you get. I'm sorry. Let me call it what it is. It's the people who, like everybody starts a PR company, but not everybody is a PR specialist. You have every Tom, Dick, and Harry trying to start an accelerator.
Yeah.
And half of them don't have a cooking clue and don't have the network to be able to pull it off. And that's kind of, I think, where I was leaning towards. But interested to hear your take on that, Ian.
I firstly, so obviously, as being an ex-founder myself, I found that the accelerators are great if you get into the right accelerator program. Yeah. And what I would highly recommend is this called the Henry $5 trick. Download the Maxime database, which shows you who's doing investments from an accelerator point of view in which markets for the past, since 2019. And then decide if you're going to apply for that. But I would highly recommend, funding is not the issue. It is building a business. It's focusing on your customer. And that is getting traction. And YC School, and I'm going to copy out of YC because Siebel is my hero, has a fantastic startup school. It's free. It's podcast. You can sit on it and you can listen to how to actually get market fit very soon. Don't build for sure until you know that the customer will buy. And it doesn't take that long to validate that there is a customer. But you have to be very, very specific, very focused. You need to know, I'm going into agri. And if you're going into agri, guess what? You're not going into agri. You're going into climate tech. Why? Because 44% of all funding in the past year has gone into climate tech. What's climate tech? It's agri, it's transport, it's EV, it's energy. So you have to be very specific. But you start number one with a customer. I don't mind shortcutting anybody's intros into accelerators, especially in the early stage, because pre-seed is tough. Totally agree. It's tough because you're building a business and you're trying to actually build. And so you think you should go and hire developers. No, you should be pitching to your first developer that can build if you're not able to build. But anyway, then there's something new on the block. I don't know. Everybody knows it probably, yeah. But the incubator space is shifting heavily fast into venture studio space. So look for venture studios. If you are in agri, now the gentleman that was earlier online, Ghana, comes out of Portugal, right? They UNSG, one of the UNSG goals is food for all, meaning you're in agri, you have to go and apply there. Got a 30 million euro fund. So definitely be very specific on that. But the focus is not funding. The focus is making sure the customer is interested to use your service.
Absolutely spot on.
And that hashtag.
No, I love it. Love it, as always.
Sorry for interjecting. I just couldn't. I'm a very bad audience member.
No, but Henry raised such good points.
As unruly as possible, please. Sorry. There's a reason we call you the legend. So,
Just saying.
You've been there, you've done that, and you continue doing it, which is really cool. Just another question.
Something that, just one quick point, but I think something that happens when startups get swept up in this wave of I'm trying to raise VC funding and all of these things, you get distracted.
Yes.
And it's really, really important to remember what you are doing and why you're doing it. The point that Henry made, you're here to make money, to sell a product that people want to exchange for their money. Right? So when somebody makes that decision to part with the 100 Rand to take your product, that's a really important decision. So you need to nail that down. And by the time you start getting external money, and you get in all these conversations about accelerators and pre-seed and whatever, you really just need that external inflow of capital to help you scale what you already proved out from the beginning. So don't get swept up in all this noise of
Yes.
one race, that, a unicorn, whatever. The core of it is you're a business owner. That's
So,
what you need
so
to
I
do.
want to add to that because I love what you're saying, and I want to re-emphasize this in this panel. It's that you're only a startup when you speak to a venture fund or an investor. Otherwise, you're a business. Like, you should resonate to that, right? You're a business. It's cash flow first. It's traction. That is it. Like, step there. And then once you are with traction, guess what happens? The investors come find you. It turns the whole discussion around, because when I started, there was 100 investors, 2015 in the Africa continent from everywhere. Now, just imagine me trying to hunt 100 investors. Guess what? It's got complicated. There's 1,500 right now. Already this year, 400 has leaned into Africa Tech. So you really need to lean a little bit back from the funding discussion and talk customer first. What am I building? Why am I building it? Surround yourself with mentors, get the traction. Now, you don't need to be profitable. It's not the point. It's just showing that people will buy your offering. And then like, do what I call it the aerobatics, the aerobatics trick, which is actually you're in agri-tech, but you're not agri. You're not selling to farmers. You're actually selling to insurance companies. So you B2B. Why is that important? More than 80% of all investments go into B2B. Wow.
Understanding what business you're actually in is important.
Yes. And then also with investor, be rather flexible about that, because you could be in fintech, so inclusive financing, but because you are enabling taxis to be way more efficient in moving people around, you're actually in climate tech when you speak to a climate tech investor.
And it's true for everybody, right? So because
I'm just gonna jump right in here and let you know about the time. This is what I'm talking
this
about.
Discussion is getting good.
We could stay here all day, like literally.
Let us be.
I tell you what. Let's take one more question to wrap it up. There's one question in the chat there from Link. If you see it, yeah.
So let's do that. I'm a young professional who's been running a business for the past 5 years. I've been working online on my business since it started. And that was while I was a student. I've got a full-time job now, and I'm struggling to keep up with the tasks. I tried delegating tasks, but the sales are not the same anymore. How can I solve this? So that struggle between having the full-time job and building your dream. Anybody, any takers for that one?
This is such a tough one, because immediately you want to be like, well, if your business is doing well and everything, just focus all your energy on that and do that. But we also know what the economy is, and you do need that stable revenue coming in to support the business. So I'm going to take the cheap cop out and say hire somebody to help manage the business, but that can also be really, really tough. I was mentoring a founder who she had to move to London, but then her business was in Ghana. She hired somebody who was manning the operation, and unfortunately the person had to leave, and that just creates all kinds of problems. But the first port of call would be to try to hire a good person to take to run with them.
Yeah, and I mean, there is an idea that came up in the chat, which is very useful. Is there a way to automate it, right? And also, are there any sort of synergies or collaboration between your full-time job and your business on the side? And which one is the one that you actually want to see grow? I mean, there are very real challenges economically on the continent. But the truth of the matter is also, at some point, you're going to have to make that choice. Like you can't avoid it. So maybe it's about building a timeline, a realistic timeline. What's the end goal? Is your end goal being a partner or whatever where you are doing your full-time job, or is your business your end goal? And you work backwards for that, adding some timeline, and that should relieve some of the pressure and help you prioritize in your decision making.
Yes, I think we're going to have to wrap it there. Henry did make a good point. Do you have a co-founder? I think every good business
because it's a very, 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 very lonely job building a company. And then from a reality point of view, investors love to invest in teams. And you can't pay salaries, so you have to have a co-founder. I always say, go and your first sale is to a co-founder. Just make sure it's diverse, that somebody else doesn't think like you, brings an outside-in view, makes a huge impact on innovation, how you're solving problems. I'd love to connect with you to see if we can solve that problem, because we do run free user groups, and so you can probably find somebody there. But it is really about your pitch.
I'm gonna, Henry, thanks for that, and thank you very much to the panel. Lina, Egla, thank you. Ruben, great having you on. So, Daniel, we need more of these discussions. That's all I'm going to say.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We definitely do. That's why we have a community. But I think I want to commend all of you for making this very practical, right? We could easily talk, high level, hey, from an investment point of view, this is how, but you brought it down to a level of everybody can understand from a founder point of view. Is how the whole system works, actually. So I appreciate you for that. And I want to thank you for your time and your contribution. Right. So we're going to move on to the next segment so Kino, Lina, Egla, Ruben, Henry, you too. Thank you so much for your contributions and all the questions in the chats there. Yeah, let's connect and let's see how we can continue this discussion. So we're going to move on to the next segment of this event, which is the pitch, the pitch presentations. But before we do that, I really want to capture this moment. So I want to ask if you could turn on your camera for just 3 seconds. We're going to take a group photo. So what's going to happen next is Zoom has this really cool built-in group photo app. And I'm going to press take a picture, and then you're going to see a prompt on your screen. You have to click allow for me to take the picture. So you need to have your camera on. So I'm just going to wait for a few more people to turn on their cameras. There we go. Here we go. You should see the prompt. Hold on a second. You should see it now. Just click allow. All right, keep it coming. I'm receiving them. Keep it coming. This is
I wasn't ready for that.
Look, there's such a thing as being camera ready. This is 2024.
I'm from that generation that did not take a whole lot of pictures, I guess.
Keep it coming. All right, thanks, guys. It's coming. It's still coming. People still taking pictures. And fantastic. Yeah, I think that's it. That's everybody. All right. So tech support, over to you. We're gonna move on. So how it's going to work is we're gonna see the founders pitching consecutively without interruptions. Keep your questions immediately when they're all done pitching. What's gonna happen is we're going to go into breakout rooms. So choose which breakout room you want to go into. But you're welcome to rotate. Don't stay in one breakout room the entire time. Engage with them. You are an investor. You are just curious about what the technology and what they're doing. You want to engage with them. Follow them in the breakout rooms. Engage with them further, and then rotate. And then let's give it 10, 15 minutes, and then we'll be back here and close with some closing remarks, and that will be the end of it. So tech support, over to you. Thank you very much. So while we're waiting for the tech team to, there we go. It's loading.
Hi, my name is Stephen Muraga, the founder and CEO of Nyamula Logistics. Over 100,000 small-scale truck operators in Southern and Eastern Africa struggle to get regular business as a result of the fragmented logistics ecosystem in the region. This also leads to cargo owners paying more per mile for logistics services, having less options. We are building Nyamula, which is a marketplace or a digital freight forwarder that connects small-scale truck operators looking to optimize their capacity on one side and cargo owners looking for efficient logistics solutions. The logistics market in Eastern and Southern Africa is pegged at 33 billion US dollars, of which 15 billion goes to cross-border logistics, which is where we are currently playing. And we're looking forward to capturing in the next 5 years 100 million US dollars of that market. Since we commenced operations, we have processed the transaction worth more than 3.5 million US dollars, that is the GMV. And our best year was 2019. Of course, that was just before the COVID-19 pandemic struck. And we suffered a slump with our worst year being the year 2021. But the good news is that we have been experiencing an upward trajectory, which is leading us to maybe the COVID-19, pre-COVID-19 environment by 2025. We have made successfully over 1,000 deliveries across 9 countries, facilitating the movement of over 35 million kilograms. We have in our database a combined 500 tracking units. Currently, we make money through commission, 8 to 15% per freight invoice, and we are looking in future to incorporate invoicing, clearing, as well as a fuel and asset financing. Our competitors are mainly traditional trucking companies with big fleets, whilst we are also very much aware of other players in the digital space in the form of lorry system as well as Kobo 360 that are mainly operating in East and Western Africa. They may pose a huge challenge should they consider expanding south. But we have an advantage. We have been in the market earlier than them. So that's our first mover advantage that should set us apart. We understand this market very well. My team and I comes with a combined over 30 years experience in the transportation and logistics management, technology, business administration, public health, as well as accounting and finance. We are looking to raise 160,000 US dollars in exchange for 8% equity. We're also open to considering other alternative funding such as debt finance as well as returnable grants. Of this money, we would like to use 40% of it towards team building and then 30% for technology development as well as growing our share of the market. If you invest in Nyamula, there are various options for exit, which include merger, IPO, as well as acquisition. We are looking to partner investors who share the same vision with us so that we can make a dent in the market, in the logistics market in Southern and Eastern Africa. Thank you.
Biome Eco Solutions is a biotech producing home compostable biofilms to replace the plastic used in agriculture. We are a solution to pollution that isn't an inconvenience. Plastic you can eat. Around 400 million tons is the weight of the world's population. It is also the amount of plastic that is produced every single year, with the majority of which being unable to be recycled. The agricultural value chain is also heavily reliant on plastic, making use of it from farm to fork. In 2019 alone, 12.5 million tons was used just for farming, with a further 37.3 million tons to package that food, with the demand only expected to increase. These are our films. Our first go-to-market is the agricultural sheeting that you can see in the top corner. This is able to be implemented in any way that farmers currently use the thick PVC sheeting. Once we have established a hold in this market, we'll be able to expand into other sectors. A world possible with Biome biofilms. Our main focus is large-scale industrial farming, helping it to become more regenerative and better compatible with the earth. After that, we're able to service the urban food market, keep waterways clean and ecosystems diverse, as well as implement in green buildings and carbon and restoration projects. Our market opportunity is vast, from the global fertilizer market to soil treatments, and with a little bit of R&D, we'll be able to go into plastic packaging as well. All of these figures make up the grand total of 465 billion, which is the total available market. However, in our first year of production, we're able to service 1.6 million of that market, and with further financial input, we will be able to service $46 million of that market before expansion. Our validation, we have 9 MOUs signed of the value of $1 million, and we have 50 clients waiting, 50 farmers who are ready to be customers the moment that we've produced these films. We also have a patent that is pending. Our business model is a commercial one, and our revenue model is gross margin and service charge. We are able to leverage 3 revenue streams. Our first stream of income will be a service subscription one, where we're able to take away the food waste that is produced on farms, the excess. Currently, farmers pay for this waste to be removed. The second stream of income will be our product that is produced. We will be able to sell this at, as our economy of scale grows, we'll be able to sell it at cheaper and cheaper prices. And then the third stream of income is a byproduct purchase, where any films that are not sold or any product waste that happens during our production is able to be leveraged as livestock supplement and soil fertility products. Our financials, so in our first 3, we will only become profitable in our 3rd year. In our first 2 years, we will still be putting money into the company. Our capex is fairly low as we've been bootstrapping, and our opex, we expect it to plateau as it's sort of fixed costs. Currently, with competition, we don't have anyone that is doing exactly what we're doing. All of the other biofilm companies are trying to go into food packaging and other cosmetics packaging, while we are focusing on agriculture. Once we have proved product there and established a hold, we will be able to go and progress into more packaging. My name is Malayan Dutt. I'm the founder of the company, and my co-founder is Chloe. I have 2 other scientists working with me, as well as 2 advisors. The company was established in November 2022, and from January 2023, we're able to get into a lab, improve patent, and we've had a wonderful journey since. Our ask is $1 million. This will go to factory outlay, team hire, and R&D in the macro lab, as well as marketing and IP protection. Thank you so much.
Greetings from Cape Town. My name's Rudy, and before I start, I want to leave a special shout out to Daniel. Daniel, thank you for your guidance and mentorship over the last 8 weeks. Our startup was founded during the pandemic. A little bit about myself. I've been involved in the African luxury tourism space for the last 25 years, an area I feel very comfortable operating in, but when the global pandemic hit, not just myself, but my colleagues in our industry didn't know where our livelihoods are going. It was a very dark time, but this also allowed me the first opportunity to look beyond the ordinary. I founded a virtual platform and conceptualized that called Our Africa.travel. It was hugely successful, and that allowed me to sell my stake in Our Africa.travel and bootstrap the first capital towards our idea. And the big idea is a simple product where you can get your customer or your peer to stand next to you and vouch for you via selfie video. It was difficult for me to operate in that space because I did not want to be in a position where we didn't own the technology. I browsed through the Forbes Africa 30 Under 30 magazine, and after meeting with about 6 tech businesses, I decided that the team at Skywalk Innovations would be the right founders for me. My 2 co-founders, Tyron and Siyabonga, joined hands on this mission, which during the pandemic was very difficult. Our first users said, this is an awful idea. You're going to make videos with people that's going to spread corona. But in faith, we took those next steps forward. And this was our first Handshake SA video.
We had a much longer discussion about Handshake. What do you think about it?
Basically, that was the vessel that allowed us to start building our first MVP, and this got us to 2024. The big problem that we're trying to solve is the talent landscape in Africa is completely fragmented. You have a Uber driver that does really well. He gets great ratings, but the platform owns the ratings. But the other side of the coin is someone that's got no vehicle, no opportunity, standing on the side of the road with a cardboard box, and that person has no voice. And we want to bridge that divide between talent in the underserved communities and individuals looking for talent in the more affluent areas. What we did is we've started building our first version of Handshake SA, and we've sent that out into the market, and I'll give you some feedback on that. You can also download what we've built on the App Store and the Google Play Store. And Aliyah, to me, is a classic example of a school leaver that failed her matric. We gave her our MVP and said, Aliyah, go and find people that will vouch for you. And this is what her neighbor had to say about Aliyah.
Hello, my name is Amanda, and I'm with Aliyah here. She's my helper. She's been helping me with my kids for the past 3 years now when I'm at work and also...
You've never met Aliyah, but because she's got someone vouching for her, looking after her children, you can form a perception about her. In my own business, I've used side-by-side customer testimonials to allow me to expand my marketing portfolio. The landscape for technology users is virtually endless. There are more cell phone users today than there are people on the planet. And if we could capture just 1 out of 4 using social platforms as a force for good, we've got a very viable business. Our business model is double-sided, a subscription model for SMMEs or small businesses like myself, where I use the Handshake SA showreel, and I have customer testimonials side by side with a watermark applied as a authority that allows prospective clients of mine a glimpse into the work that I do. We also then have the open source marketplace where individuals can discover talent and you pay a small connection fee of 10 Rand to connect with the talent. This, from a sustainable business model, could be a business within the next 5 years that could turn around just under R1 million South African Rand. We have to date burned $42,000 and self-funded, patents lodged in and filed in South Africa, the USA, and Canadian territories. And we are asking for an R8 million investment to take Handshake SA on to the next level. I'm also going to do something quite unusual, but based on the sessions I had with my mentor, if you are someone with influence in the social capital landscape, come and speak to me. I would love to join hands with like-minded individuals that can look beyond the ordinary as an update to the traditional letter of testimonial. Where Handshake could be used as a plugin tool, it is possible for additional platforms to utilize our service and innovation to add another layer of trust, and for that reason we've patented. We have an incredible team of young South African talent, and I would go to war with each of these individuals twice. It'll be wonderful if you could reach out to us, talk to us, explore beyond the ordinary, and thank you for your time.
Imagine a world where every child had the opportunity to read, write, and dream big. That's the world we're building with Lino Kids. Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Tobisa Tiba, and I'm proud to present to you today Lino Kids. Did you know that 82% of grade 4 learners cannot read for meaning across all South African languages? Our research has showed that international study reveals 8 out of 10 grade 4 pupils cannot read for meaning. An article from Daily Maverick stated, I quote, "There is still no plan to address South Africa's reading crisis as the percentage of children who can read for meaning declines." Now, you would wonder, where does Lino Kids come in? We have noticed that the problem starts with the foundation phase and that there's a clear need for localized and accessible educational tools that can help the child improve with their literacy skills by developing a WhatsApp chatbot. We provide localized content that promotes the child's indigenous knowledge for children aged 5 to 13 years old. Lino Kids is not just an innovative, it's a revolutionary. To further our innovative approach, Lino Kids leverages the existing platform of WhatsApp to provide affordable and accessible learning to all. With majority of South Africans owning smartphones and using WhatsApp regularly, it's a perfect fit for our mission. Our chatbot has the following features: classes and games, storytelling, handwriting, and defining. Our total market size is 3.69 billion with a market of 166 million South Africans that are currently obtainable. Our current chatbot has 785 active users and it has gained 3,000 interactions in the past 14 days. Our demographics show that our users are based in Cape Town, Johannesburg, KZN, Free State, and Zimbabwe. Lino Kids has currently impacted 788 users. We have formed partnerships with 6 corporations, 7 primary schools, 2 NPOs, and 2 early child development centers. We've managed to raise funds that are more than $13,000, with followers on our socials being more than 500 on all social media platforms. And we have more than 400 website visits. For our future projections, we're planning to scale nationally and globally. With our recent partnership in Switzerland and France, we're planning on entering the Swiss market. For our revenue model, we utilize the Lino Kids freemium package, offering defining words, and we have the on-demand service for $8 per month, offering handwriting and defining words, and our premium package for $16 with all the services on our chatbot. For our financials, we have predictions of 80,000 USD by the end of this year and 384,000 US dollars by the end of 2027, with a growth rate of 4.46% and a profit margin of 11%. We are planning on scaling and making use of what and reaching our target market. You would wonder what makes Lino Kids different. Lino Kids is different to other chatbot to the other. Wait, you would wonder what makes Lino Kids different. What differentiates Lino Kids from its competitors is the fact that we are a AI-based driven WhatsApp chatbot that utilizes localized content and has parental involvement. Our team consists of four founders, two educational content creators, and three ambassadors. Our advisory board is based of 6 diverse individuals from different markets, from different industries, offering different knowledge and expertise. We have collaborated with the likes of MTN, ABSA, Ford, Enactors, UWC, and Erika Primary and other schools around Cape Town. To scale our market, our current ask is 500,000 US dollars to develop our technologies, to improve our current curriculum, and for our marketing and outreach programs, and also to cover our operational costs and community building. So, to join the change, I would like you all to greet the following number: 061 4977 338, or scan the QR code. Thank you.
Amazing. Thank you all for all these amazing presentations. As previously stated, what's going to happen now is we're going to go into breakout rooms. Choose which room you want to go into, interact with the entrepreneurs. If you're an investor or another founder, just want to give them feedback, please do so. You're welcome to jump from one room to another. Don't just stay in one room. Circulate, jump from one room to another room. And then after that, we'll come back to this main room to close. Thank you, everybody. Let's go into the breakout rooms. All right, people are returning. I hope that was an interesting engagement with investors and founders and just interested parties. I'm not sure if some more people are still joining. I see there's still 24 participants. I think I think people have joined, have come back. I think everybody has come back. Ladies and gentlemen, we have reached the end of this demo day. I just want to take a minute to pause and thank every single one of you, because when you think about it, you are the atomic elements that make up the space, this ecosystem itself. We wouldn't be without you as accelerators, investors, and the founders as well. So we need one another. So I want to thank you for your time, for your engagement, for your insight. It's definitely encouraging to see that there are a lot of like-minded people engaging in the same mission about making a better place on our African continent. So from Maloba Consulting and my entire team, shout out to Anati Kobese, shout out to Bonolo Sepang, shout out to Onele Chambula, shout out to Beverly and our technical team. Really, we just want to say a massive thank you. This is not the end of the event. It's only the beginning of our journey together. Let's connect. Let's remain in touch, and let's continue to make a dent in the universe with our contributions and our impact. So from my side to you, thank you very much. Enjoy the rest of your day, and let's keep in touch. Cheers, everybody.
Thanks so much. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.